Hey everyone, Professor Long here. This message is for those students enrolled in my Summer 2 course for 2020. We just got started. The first week is done. The first round of exams are done. The exam one for the lecture, the answers have been posted. You guys can look those over. If you have and you see a question that you thought was a mistake, let me know. On occasion, we have keyed in the wrong answer and people email me or message me and let me know, and we have to go in and fix that. Usually the lecture tests are not as big of a deal. For the lab exams, because you guys don't get to see the lab papers like we traditionally do when we hand them back in a face-to-face course, you don't get to review the questions and show me a small typo. The computer, when we enter the questions and we put the arrows on them and we type up the answers, we try to usually come up with variations of the answer. So if it is singular, like pupil, and you put pupils with an S, the computer counts it wrong. We try to put the answers in exactly as they appear up here on your lab review or on your list of things to know. This is what I call this. Anyway, some people call it the laboratory assignments or the lab guide. But these are the questions, these are the terms that we're going to use to type in our answers exactly as they appear. No capitals, nothing in parentheses, all that kind of good stuff. So, for example, when we do the heart, if it says pulmonary valve and you put pulmonary valves, the computer will count it wrong. If you're one letter off, you can always email me and say, hey, Mr. Long, number 17 on my test, I put pulmonary valves. The answer says pulmonary valve. I can go in and look at your test question and I'll correct it and add the points to your grade. Now, because we use Respondus Monitor, the webcam, while you're taking an exam, it cuts down on people who are trying to cheat or use things to help them get the answers. In anatomy and physiology, we are prepping you. Not only are we testing you on the material, but we're prepping you for your professional phase of most of your programs. Over 90% of my students, 98% or more every semester, sometimes 100%, are going into healthcare majors. Nursing, surgical tech, OTA, PTA, dental hygiene, things like that. Respiratory therapy. I mean, there's a lot of programs that use our class. You have to know your stuff. You're not going to get to review notes or look at books and things like that. You have to know the stuff right off the top of your head, as if you're practicing in the field. You don't want a physician that has to look everything up. You don't want an OTA or a PTA or a nurse that has to run and look everything up. You want someone who knows what they're doing on the spot without fail. So you have to study and prepare that way. So when we write the exams, we expect you guys to know the answers. That's why we use the Respondus Monitor. We've had students that sit here and take pictures of questions and send them to each other, or videotape the test that they're taking. And I've had students email me and say, hey, someone's passing around the questions. So we have a number of things in place to prevent that, so that you guys learn the material, because that's what your responsibility is. Number one, I have large question banks. I have way more questions than are on the test. If the test is 50 questions, I have 150 or 175. And we can ask it from each section, say the eyeball, the ear, or whatnot. We can ask it to pull up so many questions so that no two students may get the exact same test. And they may be out of order from each other. We do that for lecture as well. But then we have the Respondus Monitor. And that's mainly, in my opinion, to keep people from taking pictures of tests and cheating that way, or from looking at their answers. And I don't want to imply that a lot of students cheat. Most do not, but there's always that temptation because the pressure is high to make the grade to get into your programs. So now, once the answers are posted, if you see a minor error, feel free to email me. And this is the format I need you to use. And this is in the announcement where this video will be linked. Just send me an email that says something like, hey, Mr. Long, will you please look at my lab test number 1? I need you to look at question number 17. It said pupil, and I put pupils. Okay, so you put the number, actually put the number, put what you wrote, put what the computer said. Just those 3 things for each one. And just list them. 17, 29, 31, 32, 47. And put the number, put what your answer is, put what the computer says. there are a number of reasons why it may have been counted wrong, and you actually might be right. Okay? Don't try to BS me. We see right through that. Please don't waste my time. But if you put right pulmonary valve, but you abbreviated right with an R, well, I can give you credit for that. The most common mistakes that I see being made is people, when they get ready to type, accidentally hit the space bar and then type the correct answer. The computer sees the space bar as one of the letters and counts it wrong. Or if there's two words, they type in a word, accidentally hit the space bar twice and type in the next word. If you're one letter off, usually I'll be a little forgiving. You need to work on your spelling because, in pharmacology, some medicines are only a letter or two off and they have drastically different effects. But I can provide a little bit of grace and understanding and look at the answer and give you some consideration. I get to be the arbiter, and I will try to be fair in how I evaluate that and, add points onto the lab test. It happens every lab test for a lot of students. So whether it's lecture or lab, if you think you missed something, just send me an email. Mr. Long, I need you to look at this question number. Here's what I put. Here's what the computer says. That's the format. Keep it short and sweet and simple. And I'll go into your test, look at those specific questions, and then make any corrections to your grade if necessary. Okay? So now the test results for the first two exams, they weren't all that great. Some of y'all did fantastic. Some people did very poorly. Just know that that's not an indictment on your abilities, on how much you're studying, or on your intellect. It's just not. So AMP2 starts difficult. So one of the things I like to show people is this, and I'm going to write on the board. I put a little note up there. I hope you saw it. Study hard, study often, and your future depends on it. So, if you're going to do well, you have to work hard and work a lot. And you signed up for summer AMP, so you're going to get it. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. It's fast, it's furious, and it's a lot of information. So if you don't have the time to study, I can't do much about that. You have to make the time to study and prepare for this class and do the best that you can. But look, I'm going to show you something. Okay. In Part 1 AMP, we have 6 lecture tests, 1 through 6. Okay. I'm not going to write all the numbers in there. But the difficulty, if we measure the difficulty of the exams, they did this. Somewhere around test 3, and especially around test 4, the difficulty jumped up. You thought this was hard when we were doing medial and lateral and anterior and posterior and body regions and all that. Cells and tissues. But when we got to muscles, the difficulty jumped up. You had to know actin and myosin and troponin and tropomyosin and the myosin heads and the ATP, all those little details. The action potential travels down the axon, opens calcium channels at the synapse, all that stuff. I mean, you got to know all those details. And then when we get to the neuro stuff, it stays difficult. Now here's the deal for part 2. Okay, test 1 through 6. The difficulty does this. This is about test 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. In my opinion, the 2 hardest tests, or probably the 3 hardest tests in all of AMP, are these 3. Especially these 2. And there's a reason for that. One of the reasons is these are abstract concepts. Okay? So when we talk about the terms abstract and tangible, tangible means you can touch it. Abstract means you can't. It's just kind of out there in the ether of the universe. So you have to be able to imagine it. Concrete or tangible concepts are easier to grasp. For example, when we do the heart, there's a lot of material, but you can picture the chambers of the heart contracting. You can picture what the heart's doing in your mind's eye because you've probably seen a video of a heart beating and other things. So you can see and touch and feel the models and all of this other stuff. Sorry, there's an alarm going off in the background. But here for sensory, it's abstract. You can't see and touch and feel all these sensory things that are going on in the body. You just have to imagine it in your mind's eye. And for endocrine, it's going to be the same thing. The hormones, there's a lot of them. You're going to go over 18 hormones. And some of them do the similar things, some of them do the exact same things, some of them do opposite things. So it gets confusing. You have to learn this stuff, and you have to keep it separated by studying one hormone at a time and mastering that hormone. But these are two abstract concepts. And people don't also, the second reason they're difficult is people don't have a lot of background with this information. For example, if I say digestive system, you already know what's happening. If I say respiratory system, you have some idea. Lungs, windpipe, blah, blah, blah. Digestive system, urinary system, reproductive system. All of these systems over here, you have an idea. You have a little bit of an idea of the brain and the spinal cord. Maybe a lot of it was new to you, but at least there's a foundation on which you can put these details. When I say sensory physiology, people think smell and touch and hearing and vision, but how it works and the organization of the tissues are very often, and the organs themselves are very often new to students. So you have to build the foundation and build the details onto that. When I say endocrine, people have no idea what I'm talking about. I mean, really, a lot of people don't even know what endocrine means, and it's your hormone system. And we hear a little bit about hormones, estrogen or progesterone or testosterone when we hit puberty, but all those others you know very little about. So for these two systems, they're not only abstract concepts, we have to lay the foundation, put all the studs and support beams in, put on the sheetrock and the roof, and all the details. Where here, a lot of the fundamentals are already in place. When I say urinary and respiratory and digestion and reproduction, we know what those do. We have some foundation, and we can build upon that. So these tests are the toughest. Okay? It's going to require you for test 2 to work harder than you did on test 1. Now, some of y'all did really well. Some people not so much. Again, I'm not going to judge you for that. We just have to look at things and make an objective observation. Hey, your score was good. Your score was not. How do we fix that? Identify it, own it, and then address it. Okay? So you guys are going to have to work hard. You're going to have to work often. Your future does depend upon it. Now, if you don't pass this class or you don't do well in it, your future's not over. You can come back and retake the course. You have some chances to pull your grade up. But ultimately, we're going to have 6 lecture tests. We're going to have 4 lab tests. We're going to have a final exam. You've had 2 opportunities at extra credit. I may give another 1 or 2 throughout the semester, but it's not a lot of points. Do not rely on extra credit to make your grade, because it doesn't help as much as you think it does. Know your material. Be prepared for exams. Study hard, study often, study well. Make sure that you make time to study. You got to fix your schedule and set it up. If you have 3 kids and 2 jobs and you're a single parent and there's no time to study, the likelihood you're going to be successful is low. Now, I have seen people do it through sheer determination and hard work, lack of sleep. But for the most part, you got to have the time to study, and then you got to put that time in. You cannot be lazy. You cannot wait. You cannot put things off. So, again, you signed up for Summer A&P. You're going to get it. Hopefully, your schedule is such that you can give it the time that it needs. If not, it's going to be a struggle. Okay? So, a few things. Number 1, don't quit. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Keep fighting. You got plenty of time. This might be your drop test for some of y'all. For lab, same thing. Don't quit. Don't give up. Keep working hard. You got plenty of time. It's only the first quarter here, so to speak. We got a lot of time left for us to make the grades that we need. But if you're not doing well, you need to change what you're doing. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it. If you wanted an A and you got an A, keep doing it. If you wanted an A and you got a B, keep doing what you're doing, but just do it a little harder, a little more often, a little tighter, a little better. If you got a 50 on the first lecture test or lower, you did something completely wrong. And whatever you did, don't do that again. You got to change what you're doing. You need to study if you didn't study. You need to start studying sooner if you waited till the last minute, because you're going to run out of time. This summer is fast and furious. You have a lecture test every 6 days, I think. You have a lab test every 8 or 9 days. I forget exactly how the summer schedule goes. I'd have to look at it, and I don't have it in front of me. But it's fast and it's furious, and it's going to require you to put in the time, the effort, and the dedication to get it done. Okay? So if what you're doing works, do it. If what you're doing didn't work, don't do that again. You need to change your approach. If you need help, send me an email. I'm hoping to have some Zoom meetings. I'm trying to set that up, but it's been a very crazy week with my wife's work, with my schedule, with my kids, and everything else going on. So I'm trying to set up a time where I can meet with you guys. One last thing, make sure you go in and look at the answers to the lecture and especially the lab tests. Again, if you're just a letter off or you made a slight error, shoot me an email. Send me the number, what you typed in, what the computer says. Keep it short and sweet. I don't need long explanations. I'll go in and look at those questions. I'll award points, and I'll shoot you an email back saying, hey, this is how many of those you did get right. Here's your corrected score. Anyway, thanks for watching. Keep your chin up. Work hard. Work often. Be the best you can be. And don't slack in this class because it's going to catch up to you, okay? I wish we could do this face-to-face. I think there's something missing from the human element, but nonetheless, this is the best we got. We're going to do what we can with what we got. This whole COVID thing has been a very tough situation on a lot of people, financially, for jobs, emotions, psychology, getting out of your house. You know, I worry about my children's physical and mental well-being, just being trapped in a house and not being able to do the things that they like to do and enjoying life. It's affecting all of us. And some days it gets to us, let alone with all the rioting and all the politics and all the other BS that comes with life. It's just a difficult period for a lot of people. And our outlets have been taken away from us, from many of us. And our ability to relieve the stress is disappearing. So stress is building and building and building. Make sure you get out, go for a walk, go for a run, get out on the bayfront, go out to the Oso Nature Reserve and go for a walk the trail, sit by some water, meditate, pray, do whatever it is that you need to do, but make sure that you take a little time to stay physically, emotionally, and psychologically healthy by getting out and being physical. Okay, you'll never understand fully, and we don't have enough time to do it in this class, but I have some understanding from my background. Physical activity and human interaction has such a huge change on our bodies physiologically. We are social beings and we are physical beings. And sitting in a room, eating, bonbons and sucking down 88-ounce gully washers is not good for you physically, emotionally, or psychologically. Get out, get some exercise, get some movement. I know you got to study, but 20 or 30 minutes of brisk walk or some kind of physical activity will release hormones and chemicals in your brain and your body that make you feel better. And the more often you do that, the better you will be. So get your kids out, go for a drive, go for a walk, whatever it is that you got to do, but maintain your mental well-being. Okay, it's going to be tough. And then work hard. All right, guys, listen. You'll have a couple of other videos throughout the semester added in for me or from me regarding this stuff. But for now, I wanted to get this across because I saw the lecture exam and the lab exam results. And some were great, some were not. And the ones that aren't, we got to fix that. And we'll work on that together as much as we can. If you have issues, email me and ask me. I'll do everything I can to help my students as much as I possibly can. There are limits. And sometimes I can't do what needs to be done. But I'll try. All right? Thanks for watching. I hope you're having fun learning from me. I hope you're enjoying A&P, and if you're not, you're doing something wrong. Just kidding. It can be a tough class. But keep the faith, keep your chin up, keep swinging, kid. Never give up. All right? Y'all have a great day. Enjoy the rest of this summer session.